Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of mine. Today we are going to discuss the short story A Horse and Two Goats by R.K. Narayan. A Horse and Two Goats is a short story by Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Narayan set in one of the tiniest villages in India named Kirtham. The main part of the story is presented to the readers in the form of a comic and humorous dialogue between Muni, who is a Tamil speaking poor Indian villager, and an English speaking businessman from New York. Now, it is with their troubled communication that the author has tried to explore the conflicts between the rich and the poor, as well as the differences between Indian and Western culture. Now, before we go ahead and discuss the story, I want all of you to watch a picturization of the story. I extracted this episode from a well-known serial aired on television, and also nowadays it's aired on different platforms. Now this picturization is from the collection of R.K. Narayan's first collection of short stories called Malgudi Days, which was published in 1947, and later on it was aired on television by the same name. So sit back and enjoy this humorous story of A Horse and Two Goats. Now let us look at the summary of a story. The story is set in a small village, Keetham, in India. Muni, the protagonist of the story, that is the hero of the story, was once an affluent cattle grazer, but pestilence afflicted his cattle and his fortunes declined gradually. He is now left with two goats, too skinny to sell or eat. Earlier, his wife not only used to serve him salted millet flour in boiled water at dawn, but also packed lunch for him. Muni's riches is past now. He has no children. The only source of income is from his wife's occasional jobs, such as grinding corn in the big house, or sweeping or scrubbing somewhere. This morning, Muni manages to bring 6 drumsticks for them, and when he asks a local shopman to give him some food items on credit to prepare sauce, he is sent away humiliated. Since there is no food in the house, Muni's wife sends Muni away with the goats. She tells him, "Fast till the evening, it'll do you good." Muni takes the goats along, and soon he reaches the outskirts and leaves his goats to meander and graze on the grass near the highway. Muni himself sits on the pedestal of the horse statue for the rest of the day and watches the lorries and buses passing through to feel connected to the larger world. The horse is made of weather-beaten clay and stands beside a warrior with synth-like mustachios, bulging eyes, and an aquiline nose. As Muni watches the road and waits for the appropriate time to head home, he notices a new sort of yellow vehicle that looked like both a motor car and bus coming down the road and pulling over. The red-faced foreigner in khaki clothes gets down from the car and asks Muni if there is any gas station nearby. The man then notices the horse statue and exclaims, "Marvelous." Since the red-faced man is wearing khaki clothes, Muni assumes him to be a policeman or a soldier, and his first impulse is to run away. But Muni is too old to run anymore and he cannot leave the goats. The two men begin to converse in their respective languages. The American greets Muni and says, "Namaste, how do you do?" To which Muni replies in only English he knows, "Yes, no." The American lights a cigarette, offers one to Muni and tells him that he has come from New York. He takes out his wallet to present Muni his business card. Muni, fearing it to be an arrest warrant, moves back. Muni, to prove his innocence to the khaki-dressed man, launches into a long explanation in Tamil of whatever crime is being investigated. On the other hand, the American questions Muni about the horse statue he is interested in buying. The tourist repeats his questions about the statue, such as when it was made. He also tells Muni of a bad day at work when, due to power failure, he was stuck for hours without elevators and air conditioning. The two men go on talking, but they don't seem to understand each other. Muni remembers about his childhood when he had to go out and work in the field morning till night. He belonged to a low caste and was not sent to school. The foreigner does not understand him but laughs heartily. Muni explained the principles of Hinduism to the American and that the Redeemer will come in the shape of a horse called Kalki. The foreigner, without having a hint of what Muni was saying, assures him that once bought, he would keep the statue with utmost care in his living room in his house in the United States of America. Finally, the American shows Muni a 100 rupee currency note, and Muni laughs at himself, thinking that the man is asking him for change. But as soon as the foreigner shows some interest in his goats, Muni feels that his dream to build up a small shop is about to be fulfilled. He thinks that the American wanted to buy his goats with the money. The American, at the end, believed he had bought the horse statue, whereas Muni thought he had just got rid of his goats for money. Muni came home to present the money to his wife and told her that he had sold their goats to a foreigner. The American, on the other hand, with the help of a couple of men, detached the horse from its pedestal and placed it in his station wagon. The goats followed Muni back home. His wife became suspicious and thus accused him of stealing the money. Now let us look at the title of the story. The major part of the story is a dialogue between the American and Muni concerning the horse statue. Muni, who is sitting on the pedestal of the statue, is assumed to be its owner by the American. The troubled communication between the two bring out the humor in the story. The American, throughout his conversation, speaks about the horse and gives Muni a 100 rupee note, while on the other hand, Muni assumes him referring it to buying his two goats. Thus, the title is apt. The main theme of the story is East-West opposition, which is reflected throughout the troubled communication between Muni and the American. On one hand is Muni. He is the representative of a typical Indian native who is poor, rural and uneducated. He knows no English and is striving to make a living. On the other hand, we have the American who knows no Tamil but expects Muni to understand English. He is wealthy, urban and educated and is only interested in a business deal with Muni. Both of them are quite ignorant of the other's way of life. The American tells Muni of the day when there was a power failure and he had to spend 4 hours without air conditioning. The West here is ignorant of the fact that poverty, hunger, bad weather are everyday troubles in the East. The East-West opposition is highlighted through Muni and the American conversing in their respective languages. Muni speaks Tamil, the American speaks English. The entire story is a conversation between them, and this conversation builds up to a climax when by the end Muni believes that the American wants to buy his goat and the American thinks that he has bought a horse. The next theme we come across in the story is materialism versus spiritualism. The clash between materialism and spiritualism is an important theme of the story. The American is linked with materialism and Muni is with spiritualism. The American is a rich businessman whose only concern is to buy the horse statue as a decorative item for his drawing room. He is not concerned with the statue's religious importance. He is ready to replace all the books in his library to make place for it in his drawing room. For him, it is just a souvenir. On the other hand is Muni, who is poor, rural, and had no formal schooling, as Muni never went to school. All his scriptural and religious knowledge is a legacy he has inherited from his ancestors. He believes that God always saves humans from evil. He is concerned with the description of the end of the world. He believes that when this world and all other worlds will be on the verge of destruction, the Redeemer will come in the shape of a horse called Kalki. This horse will come to life and gallop and trample down all bad men. The American claims himself to be a member of 5 book clubs, and apparently he loves books. Despite this, he seems ignorant of the Indian rural reality. He is amazed that Muni cannot understand him. The next theme we see is the difference between wealth and poverty. Muni and the American differ in their levels of wealth. The opening of the story shows us how desperately poor Muni is, and to emphasize that even in his time of prosperity, his standard of living was still below than that of the American. The American takes for granted his relative wealth and seems unaware of the difference between Muni and himself. He casually offers cigarettes to a man who has never seen one, complains about 4 hours without air conditioning to a man who has never had electricity, brags about enjoying manual labor as a Sunday hobby to a man who grew up working in the fields from morning until night and without thought gives Muni money for the horse statue. The next theme we also see is knowledge and ignorance. The story explores the different ways that a person can be educated. Muni had no formal education. He grew up as a member of a low caste when only the Brahmins, that is the high caste, could attend school. He has not travelled beyond his village and he likes to watch trucks and buses go by on highway a few miles away so that he can have a sense of belonging to a larger world. The American, on the other hand, has had the benefits of an American education. He has a room full of books that he values as objects, but there is no evidence that he values what is inside them. On one level, he is familiar with the larger world around him in a way that Muni never will be. The uneducated Muni tries to tell him the significance of the horse statue, but the American sees it only as a living room decoration. Of course, the language barrier prevents him from receiving Muni's interpretations, but it never even crosses his mind to ask. After reviewing the story, I must say that troubled communication or miscommunication can lead to a lot of damage. Thank you everyone for watching my video, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, comment, share my video and my other videos. Hope to see you all once again in my next video. Till then, stay safe and God bless.